Go.
Okay, hello. This is my 2017 POL for the MPX 10 first semester. Alright, so in the beginning of the year, we learned about the hero's journey, and pretty much every hero goes through the hero's journey, but all hero's journeys are different, and this would be my analogy for today. So, all heroes' journeys start off the same, and that's them in their ordinary world, which is where they exist before their adventure. And for me, my ordinary world was a kid just writing essays and reading books and listening to boring lectures. Okay, then the next part of the journey is the call to adventure. And this can, and most times it's where they gain an ability to do something different. And for me, that was joining MPX because it gave me the ability to learn in a different way. And the next part is crossing the threshold, and this is where the hero has to do something that they don't have to do in their ordinary world. And for me, that's build social emotional awareness and empathy in the increasingly interconnected world, because I didn't have to do this before. And I show this in two different assignments, but similar ones. And one is the title Indian Roleplay, where I have to pretend to be a missionary speaking the word of God. And in the Congress Roleplay, where I have to pretend to be one of Columbus's men and try to defend myself. So in both of these assignments, I had to put myself in other people's shoes, and that shows that I was building social emotional awareness in the increasingly interconnected world, because I had to feel what they felt back in the 1800s, and I had to communicate their wants, their needs, and their desires to stay safe. And then I also had to pretend to be someone I wasn't, and those people were of different races and part of different cultures, so that shows that I was connected to people in different parts of the world. And so my learning from this is I know more now about two important topics, and I also learned how to connect to different people, how to defend people I didn't know, and how to not judge people by their colors. At first, before the communist roleplay, I thought that Columbus's men were to blame for the Taino Indians' death, but it turns out they were just trying to save their lives by following orders. And it taught me how to talk on the spot also, because a lot of times you would get accused for something and you'd have to figure out how to defend yourself right then and there. And the next part of the adventure is the challenge. And for me, my challenge was just figure out a way to nurture and sustain and steward the environment in which I live. And I did this through the hydroponics project. Hydroponics overall is better for the environment, and I nurture the environment because hydroponics takes up less water per square meter than other ways of farming. It takes up less space, which means less trees are getting cut down, and reduces the fossil fuel consumption as well as the pesticide use. So that means our CO2 emissions will go down and there'll be less poison in our dirt. Also, it's more sustainable because hydroponics grows food faster than conventional farming, and it's about 40 times faster. And hydroponics, to build your own system is actually pretty cheap, because for us, we're building a system, and the most expensive thing was the air pump, which was $12. And I showed stewardship because everything we do is environmentally friendly. And my learning from this is just, it helped me build something with big restraints, and you guys all know the restraints and how hard it was to build a system with those restraints, but we were still all able to do it. And it also furthered my collaboration skill, because we all had to talk amongst the group on the best ways to go about things in the most efficient way. And it taught me how to make proper scale drawings for a professional audience. And it taught me how to build a sustainable system out of something cheap, because we were able to build a sustainable farming system out of PVC pipes, some wood, and a bucket. And so this is where the hero feels that they have done everything wrong and it's their low point. And for me, that was simply just having 2 bad grades in both classes. But the good thing about the this is that after the this, there's the transformation. And the transformation is basically the overcoming. And I do this by self-assessing and monitoring my own progress and understanding and communicate the quality of learning to others formally and informally. I do this through the infographics. So this semester we did a bunch of infographics, and in each one we had to give ourselves grades, and that helped us because it shows what we did good and what we did bad. And I kept track of my own grades. I go on the infographic, watching them improve, and that shows that I was monitoring my own progress. And by doing all this, each one improved in a different way. As you can see, you can kind of see, but in the first one we had a lot of words, And that was bad because it's an infographic pictures. So the next one, we had to have a lot of pictures to make it look more like infographic. Because by self-setting, we were able to see that by using a lot of words, we didn't get a very good grade on it because we need more pictures. So my learning from this, even though infographics weren't the most fun thing to do or fun thing to do at all, it still taught some important life lessons, like to take a step back and look at what you've done so you don't make the same mistake twice just by doing the same exact thing you did. And also it's good to critique yourself because sometimes you don't listen to other things that people say because you think you did it right. So by doing it yourself, you see what you did wrong and want to fix it. And by doing this, I've seen that I'm able to do things different ways because I've seen what I've already done before. So my atonement. So this is the overcoming. And I do this by applying creativity and imagination to problem solving. So I show this through the memorial project. During the memorial project, me and my partner had a lot of problems with our monument because we felt that it was pretty hard to communicate climate change. And our first two monuments didn't really communicate climate change at all. So we had to add like different things like a knife instead of a stick, and then we added coins that have symbolic meaning. And then our final design that we came up with, we put a bunch of things together, and then that's how we showed creativity because that's how we communicated with climate change. And in these first two, you can see that it wasn't very creative. It was just a circle with a stick and then a circle with a knife. But then in our final one, we had an earth with knives hanging over an eternal flame, and that's how we showed creativity. And so my learning from this, it basically just gave me more insight on climate change, and because it's a very important topic in this world. And I realized with enough advanced information, you can pretty much memorialize almost anything, because there's a lot of things that go on in the world every day that deserve to be memorialized with them done. And I also learned that there are more creative ways to prove your point, because even if you run into a problem, you should still try to figure out different ways to communicate your point using creativity. And the second to last part of the journey is the final battle. And usually when a hero goes through the final battle, it's not the most easiest thing, and they have to do things different ways. And I do this by communicating effectively using multiple mediums: spoken, written, artistic, and digital. And I show this through the pencil box project. So I show spoken because we have to go to planning meetings and progress meetings with our teacher. And during those, we had to ask them questions about what they want to do and explain to them our project and show them examples. And then next, I show written because we have to write a summary of what we did, take notes on what they say. And next is the artistic part. Artistic part can be two things. It could be the drawing itself that we have to make of the pencil box, or the building of the pencil box. And next is the digital, and we show digital through laser printing. I was supposed to have a video there. Okay, and so we show it through laser printing, and we have to make the design on our iPad and print it out through the laser printer, and that shows digital.
Video doesn't play?
Yeah, it won't play. I thought it would play. There's just a time lapse of our laser printer. And okay, so my learning from this is it taught me how to have a formal meeting, and that can be important in life for when you have a job interview. And it taught me how to work off a schedule also, because you can't just expect someone to have all the time in the world for you, and you have to be able to meet the time that you made with that specific person. And it taught me how to build something off of someone's specific needs and wants, and it taught me how to build a pencil box. And so the last part of the journey is the return. And this is where they return with the the reward. And for me, that was just getting good grades for this semester. And even though my journey wasn't as heroic as these superheroes, it was still a journey similar to the hero's journey. And yeah.